Do you know that if you are a teacher, like you are a teacher right now, you can move to Australia free of charge, like you pay nothing, absolutely nothing.
Yes, today we are talking about teachers. Yes, teachers are needed in Australia. I'm sure you know that. Okay, so today we are going to talk about all the possible ways a teacher can migrate to Australia with a work visa, skilled visa, permanent resident visa, temporary resident visa, and so on. So if you are a teacher, or your wife, your husband is a teacher, your child is a teacher, your friend is a teacher, or you know a teacher somewhere, please share this video with this person. It's very important. Okay, I've been getting a lot of inquiries from teachers, so today I say why not make these comprehensive videos to explain to teachers how they can migrate to Australia. So if you belong to any of these categories of teachers, this video is for you today. These are early childhood teacher, primary school teacher, middle school teacher, secondary school teacher, special need teachers, teachers of hearing impaired, and teachers of sight impaired. All right, so first of all, we're going to the skill occupation list. Go to Google and type it, or you follow the link I provided in the description section. Most of you are familiar with this link, this very page, skill occupation list. So we are going to type teachers, and we'll find different type of teachers as well. So in the search button, search section, you type teacher. Depending if you already know the type of teacher you are, you can just write it. But for me, I just decided to write primary school teacher so we can be specific. So if you already know the type of teacher you are, primary school, secondary school, early childhood, and so on, or you just write teachers and you will search. Okay, but you can see it yourself. All right, so when you look at the teachers, you will find out they have assessing authority. These are the teachers. These are the teachers. Assessing authority is AITS. Okay, so you have to click on AITS. I think it means Australia, blah, 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 teachers. Okay, so this is the association, the authority that assesses all the teachers in Australia. Okay, you must go through them for your skill assessment. Okay, so when you get to their page, you go to the menu and you see all the options. You are going for migrate to Australia. Okay, so when you click on migrate to Australia, that's where you go and do your skill assessment. You have the guideline for skill assessment. Okay, so even the cost, the duration, all right, everything you need to know about your skill assessment. So if you tend to come to Australia as a teacher, you must do your skill assessment. There is no two way about it. Even if you want to look for a job and come under visa 482, you must do your skill assessment. That means you must be registered as a teacher in Australia. Teaching is a regulated profession in Australia, just like nurses and doctors, pharmacists, and so on. Okay, so you must do your registration before you can practice or find a job. Okay, so migrate to Australia, you click on it, you will see all the guidelines. You see you need applying for skill assessment. Okay, you just need to read through. First of all, you must check that you meet the requirements. Okay, so what are the requirements for being a teacher in Australia? They said you must complete a minimum of 4 years full time, okay, at university level that result in qualifications and include a relevant initial teacher's qualification. Okay, so they have a checklist to tick out. Okay, the skill assessment includes English language, so expect you to write IELTS and so on. I don't want to talk about it, I will tell you later. So this is the list of teachers: primary school teacher, middle school teacher, a special need teacher, early childhood, teacher of the hearing impaired, teacher of the science, language, so on. Okay, so you need to choose one. Okay, choose the type of teacher you are
assessing for, okay, then you will see the criteria. So what do they mean by initial teachers education qualification that you must have? Let's see. If you notice, I chose primary school teacher here. So initial teachers qualification is just 1 year full-time or part-time equivalent of teachers qualification initial teacher education, like, postgraduate diploma, NCE, or whatever it is called, okay? But it is what qualifies you as a teacher wherever you are in the country you are currently practicing. And also you completed 45 days, okay, supervised teaching when you are doing this, okay? So some people get this mixed up. They think is 45 days teaching practice is different. No, it is part of your teacher's qualification. Also, you must have a degree, 4 years equivalent studies. For example, if you studied English and you are now teaching English, you have BA English, which is 4 years, does not have education qualification. So you are required to have at least 1 year full-time equivalent of teachers initial registration, initial qualification, which comprises of 45 days of supervised teaching practice. However, if you have like bachelor degree in education, you do not need to have 1 year equivalent. Does it make sense? Because your bachelor degree in education covers that, because you do your teaching practice, and I'm sure it is up to 45 days. They need a proof. If you've done education in country, or your initial registration or qualification in a country that doesn't do up to 45 days registration, then you are not qualified. Sorry, 45 days supervised teaching, then you are not qualified. Another requirement for registration and skill assessment is your English language proficiency. So if you have studied for 4 years, like 4 full years in Australia, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, USA, then you don't need to write English. However, the option 2 are for people that are not qualified or did not study in any of these above country I've mentioned. So they have English requirements standard for you, okay? So you can write out. So in your IELTS, you must score 7, at least 7 in reading and writing, and 8 in speaking and listening. They are very clear. If you cannot ace this, there is nothing for you as a teacher in Australia. They don't really compromise with English, and the initial teachers require qualification, okay? They don't joke with these two. These are the major 2 things they look at, okay? So after you have made these 2 requirements, then you go to checklist and see everything they need, okay? So you can tick off what you have and you head to registration portal. So in registration portal, that's where you have to do what? You have to log on, or you register to do your skill assessment after you have met the checklist requirement, okay? So let's look at the cost for skill assessment for teachers. So in the guideline, assessment guideline, you will see the cost, okay? So they said application for skill assessment is how much again? 1,050 Australian dollars. That's of the high price though. And if you want to appeal is 860 and so on. Refund policy and how to pay, okay? Yeah, if you need it for employment, it's 234. After you have done skill assessment, you see that. So you click on the fees, that's where you get that, okay? Okay, so now you have completed your skill assessment and you got a positive outcome. Voila, you can now shoot for independent visa. You can go for visa 482 if you find a job, or you can go for visa 491, 190, 186, any of those. The application will be via Australian immigration website, okay? Teachers are needed in Australia. Teachers are needed in Australia. Once you get a positive skill assessment, I'm telling you, you are already in Australia. The hurdles you have is positive skill assessment. Get it and you are in Australia. They are giving them invite, they are granting the teachers visas and so on. Quick. They don't wait, okay?
okay? And I do wish you good luck. If you're a teacher and you think you can pull it off, why not? Okay, good luck and see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye.